Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Oh my, am I at Princeton or am I at Harvard? What's going on? Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Yes, much better. First, a little bit of housekeeping. We intended to stream this program for those who are unable to attend. YouTube is down right now for some reason, so we have a new link. We've sent it out to all the students, so if you want to forward that to your family members, please do so. It's in your inboxes. And now, I have the pleasure of welcoming you. My name is Ian Dees. I am a program coordinator in the Office of the Dean of Undergraduate Students. And it is with great enthusiasm, on behalf of the offices of the Dean of the College, Dean of Undergraduate Students, and the Vice President for Campus Life, that I welcome each of you here tonight to the 4th Annual FLI Graduation Ceremony. This ceremony affords us the opportunity to rally the FLI community, reflect on our time together, and reach towards our future. And of course, none of that would be possible without the unwavering support of our families, our mentors, and our friends. So at this time, I'd like to invite all family and friends of our graduates to stand if you're able so that we can give you a round of applause. This ceremony is indeed as much about you as it is about our students, so thank you very much. I now have the pleasure of introducing our MC for the evening, Kiki Gilbert. Kiki is a current sophomore at Princeton. Since high school, she's dedicated herself to the cause of educational equity, keenly aware of the ways in which Black and brown students are systematically denied opportunities to advance themselves through higher education. She was recently on the trustee board for America's Promise Alliance as a youth trustee. On campus, she's the co-president of FLI, Princeton's first-gen low-income council, as well as SPEAR, Students for Prison Education, Abolition, and Reform. She's co-chaired the past 2 SPEAR conferences, as well as the National IVG Conference, cumulatively overseeing over 1,000 students and community members on campus. So please join me in welcoming Kiki Gilbert of the great class of 2021 to the lectern.
Good evening, all. As co-president of FLIC, our university's first-generation low-income council, I've led a number of conversations on the role that both biological and chosen families play in our transformation to full-fledged Princeton students. My first-generation low-income community on campus, or FLI community as we call it, has provided a haven in which I can freely discuss the struggles of having both so much, yet so little, on a place that reeks of excess. Being at Princeton has given me the unique experience of managing conferences with budgets up to 4 times my family's annual income. I can earn, or finesse, as much money from Princeton in 1 semester as my mother might see in half a year. With these juxtapositions in mind, I'm honored representing a room full of dream chasers and odd defiers, folks who understand completely the gravitas of seizing a higher education in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Of course, I don't just mean the graduates who will be leaving campus after today, but I'm also referencing the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and play cousins that prop those students up when we can't find the nourishment that we need on a campus like this one. They won't feign that having the backing of a university as elite and as grounded as Princeton isn't at times overwhelmingly beneficial. The material worth of these kinds of institutions only goes so far without having love and respect at once rooting for us in our corner. After all, though Princeton could well afford to fly me out to Greece my first time leaving the US, I know, like many of you know, that the determination of my mother opens up a different world all on its own, where what once seemed impossible is no longer impossible. It once felt like a reach is suddenly at the tips of my fingers. It is only by reaching for the impossible, by dreaming audacious dreams that overshadow our family struggles, our generational sacrifices and hardships, that we find ourselves on campuses like this one, in rooms where, just 2 generations ago, many of us wouldn't have been permitted to enter as students. This boundary-breaking work of creating futures so promising that we surprise ourselves cannot be done in solitude. We have undertaken this journey into the recesses of privilege and power on the backs of and the footsteps of those who come long before us. There are people in this room who dim the lights of their own lives so that the lives of these beautiful graduating seniors could burn a bit more brightly. How can we truly be alone in this sometimes hostile place when those sacrifices have forced open these doors for us? When they've cleared the paths of our futures and taken on the burdens of our past? We students can now go forward with our steps a little lighter, a little bouncier, because of the simultaneous taking on and giving up that our loved ones have committed to for our sakes, for the flourishing of our hopes and dreams. Sometimes it can be hard to reflect on the magnitude of these sacrifices without feeling frozen by all that we are afraid we can't repay. My mother starved herself of her own aspirations to ensure that I can now feast. She let herself crawl to ensure that I could fly. For everyone in this room that gave something up to ensure that these seniors' cups were overflowing, they couldn't do it without you. In return, it is now our responsibility to spread as far and as wide as possible all that we've been given to those who need it the most, both inside and certainly outside of the walls of this room and the gates of this campus. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Thank you so much for coming and supporting your fellow children or loved ones in general. I apologize. It's been a long day. But speaking of a long day, I actually just spoke with our guest keynote speaker today. And even though I was very exhausted, just a 30-minute conversation with her on the phone gave me all the energy and power to keep pushing forward for today. So I'm very honored that I will be introducing her. But before she gets up here to speak, I actually wanted to share more of a personal aspect to her story. Anna was born to immigrant parents, a father from Nicaragua and a mother from Mexico. She grew up in a family that loved together and worked together. Anna, her younger brother, and her older brother would accompany her father when he went to work as a janitor and a pizza delivery man, doing odd jobs such as helping deliver pizzas up and down the hills of San Francisco, cleaning rooms and toilets, and on one occasion, eating one too many pastries secretly at a bakery that her father worked at. But for her entire childhood, Anna grew up knowing the socioeconomic challenges and struggles of being in an immigrant family. But at the same time, she also learned the determination, optimism, and motivation to achieve from her parents. Attending a private Christian school that her father worked at from kindergarten to 8th grade, Anna recognized early on the power of education, wanting to attend a school outside of her local area that would give her the preparation to succeed. She would schedule on her own shadow visits to prestigious high schools in San Francisco, and on one of these occasions, she learned about a college readiness program that supported first-generation low-income students in middle and high schools called Better Chance. After learning about this program and its ability to support students who are first-generation low-income by providing them tuition, she immediately applied for the program in 8th grade. And after being accepted, attended Crystal Springs Upland School, an elite independent high school in the Bay Area, on full tuition. It was through Better Chance, actually, that Anna learned and began to embrace her FLI identity. Long before it was ever established and embraced as it is today. Learning from Better Chance mentors like Taryn Clark Grogan, Senior Program Coordinator for the Bay Area, and Keith Wilkerson, Senior Program Manager for the Mid-Atlantic region. Anna learned how to navigate prestigious spaces like her high school, where almost everyone around her was white, wealthy, and had houses with kitchens larger than the apartment that she grew up in. It is no wonder that because of Better Chance, that when Anna came to Princeton in 2007, she was prepared and ready to make a change for the FLI community. She mentored students through the Latino Unidos for networking and advising program, also known as LUNA, served as a student representative for the university's Priorities Committee, was Director of Operations for PFA, and office assistant at the Office of the Dean of Undergraduate Students. I know, impressive, right? She graduated in 2011 with a degree in International Relations and Public Policy with a certificate in Near Eastern Studies. After Princeton, she returned to San Francisco and had served various roles in law, education, and nonprofit before moving into enterprise sales. Building her sales career at two tech startups known as Box and Service Titans. These startups, by the way, were considered unicorns, which are startups evaluated for more than $1 billion. So, woo, big deal. Money. She's currently pursuing a master's in business administration at Stanford Grad School of Business. And at the moment, she's currently working on a startup of herself, helping families and their children have a more positive experience with language acquisition. Anna is currently married to her Princeton sweetheart, David Leyva, who himself is also a first-generation low-income student, and they are the proud parents of two tigers in training, hopefully. But it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Anna Gonzalez Leyva.
Thank you, Nathan. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here tonight. I was sharing with one of my best friends over reunions weekend that I was going to do this talk, and she asked me where it was going to be held, thinking it'd probably be in one of the tents around campus set up for graduation. When I told her we would be in McCosh 50, she was shocked. 10 years ago, not only did we not have a FLI graduation, if we had had one, it probably wouldn't have been held here. So it's an honor to be here tonight and to get to share a few thoughts with you. Now, as I was deciding what to share tonight, I thought I'd share the story of how I got to Princeton. But then I realized that that story would likely sound very familiar to you. In many ways, we share very similar stories, don't we? Raise your hand if you had hardworking parents who sacrificed a lot to give you access to opportunities they didn't have. Yeah. Raise your hand if you had champions along the way who saw potential in you and helped you believe that you could belong at a place like Princeton. Raise your hand if Princeton has been your absolute dream come true. That was unexpected, but as FLI students, we share a very similar path to Princeton. I'm honored that one of my champions, Keith Wilkerson, Princeton class of '97, is here tonight. I'm so grateful he planted and watered the Princeton seed in my heart, and I'm grateful that he's here to share tonight with me. So instead of telling you how I got to Princeton, or about my experience here, I thought the best use of our time would be to tell you what life has been like post-Princeton for a relatively recent FLI graduate. I'm 8 years out of Princeton, and the most important lesson that the last 8 years have taught me have been that Princeton was not the final destination. It was not the capstone. It was just the beginning, a great foundation. You see, when I came to Princeton, I'd mistakenly believed I made it. I've arrived. Life is all figured out now. The goal of being the first in my family to go to college had been so all-consuming for me that I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about what was after college. What would I do for work? What would college prepare me for? I never gave these questions much thought. I was so fixed on just getting to Princeton. While at Princeton, I decided I would go to law school after working for a year or two. But the week I graduated, I had a bit of a breakdown because I really didn't want to leave this place, and because I wasn't excited about my career plans. I felt there was still so much I didn't know. The last 8 years have been full of surprises, and tonight I'm going to share 3 specific surprises and the lessons they've taught me. As first-gen students, you're pioneers with uncharted territory ahead of you. So my hope is that in sharing what has surprised me about these last years, the surprises and lessons will serve as a heads up to you. So first, the surprise of entrepreneurship. When I graduated from Princeton, the nation was still in a precarious economic position following the Great Recession, and the impact was unavoidable. The year I graduated, the company my mom worked for went bankrupt and laid her off. She struggled to find work for months, and this eventually took a toll on her. My otherwise upbeat, optimistic, and happy mom was spun into a depression. This was a particularly salient experience for her because my mom has a physical disability, and she came to the US from Mexico to have the fullest life possible. When she could no longer find work, for her it felt like she could no longer have the fullness she'd come for. It broke my heart to see my mom going through this, and I knew I had to help. But how? My mom has always been a creative, industrious person with a knack for design, and when my husband and I got married the fall after we graduated from Princeton, of course, my mom did our wedding flowers. And I realized that was it. She'd done her own wedding flowers and countless weddings for friends. So with no business background, my mom and I founded a floral design business. Green Irene Flower Shop became the most meaningful work of her life and let me and my family witness the power of entrepreneurship firsthand. I'm grateful that the circumstances I faced immediately leaving Princeton forced me into entrepreneurship. Managing this business with my mom is one of the most meaningful and joyful accomplishments of my life. Something so precious came out of the hardship of the recession. So no matter what's ahead of you, graduates, find the positive side and think like an entrepreneur. That was the first surprise and lesson. The second surprise was landing a career in tech sales. Just 3 months of working at a law firm after Princeton, and I knew it wasn't the right career for me. So what would I do with my life? I had no idea. But I did what I assumed any eager Princeton graduate would do. I scheduled informal coffee chats with countless Princeton alumni in the Bay Area, obviously. Everyone I met with was gracious, kind, and helpful. In one conversation, an alum suggested that I pursue enterprise tech sales. After all, I cold emailed him and gotten a meeting. I was almost offended. How could a Princeton graduate go into sales, I thought. Sales was, in my mind, was unintellectual, pushy, mindless work. But I smiled politely and went on searching for what I should do. I landed at a tech company in a revenue operations function, and there I bonded with a young woman who had just graduated from Stanford Business School. To my utter surprise, after telling her my goals and dreams, she also suggested that I get into enterprise tech sales. She shared that the highest paid person at the company that year was a saleswoman. She had made more than the CEO, the CTO, the CFO, the CIO, etc. This saleswoman was smart and sophisticated, and that year, she'd sold our software to global brands like Coke, Target, and Unilever. Her job was not easy or mindless. It was a strategic game of problem solving for large and sophisticated customers. The more I learned about the job, I realized that they'd been right. Enterprise sales was a great fit for me. I transitioned into sales as soon as I could and truly fell in love. Looking back, I can't believe I almost missed this career path because of some unfounded stereotypes I had. But it's not an uncommon experience. This past weekend at reunions, I reconnected with a doctor who found herself in an unexpected specialty, a lawyer who ended up as a property manager, and a friend who is now a stunt performer. No matter what you think you'll do after you walk out of Fitz-Randolph Gate, be open to paths you never would have anticipated. You might just find the work you're most passionate about and the best fit for. So sales was my second surprise, and not letting stereotypes keep me from great opportunities was the lesson. And now for the third and final surprise. My kids led me to business school. When we chose to have children, I was settled into a career that I loved, and I was certain I wouldn't go back to school. But surprise, surprise, when I had my kids, they changed the way I saw the world. It was no longer just about me and building a career that was fulfilling to me. My ambition had grown, and I wanted to be a leader who would make the world a better place for my kids. I suddenly understood all the work that my parents did for me. I wondered how in the world I could do the same for my kids. How could I be the example for them that my parents had been to me? How could I pay it forward? I'm the only mom in my MBA class, and I'm asked frequently how I do it. Simple. My parents' work ethic and support provided the best example to follow. And my kids are the greatest inspiration. My kids don't make it harder for me to be in school. They love me back to school and motivate me to get the most out of it. We are a team, doing it all together. And that reminds me of my family growing up. As a little girl, my immigrant parents worked 3 jobs each and often took us to work with them. We were their inspiration, just like my kids are mine. We motivated each other. We worked as a team. As I look out in the audience tonight, I know that I'm looking at many family teams who have worked together to get to today. This accomplishment belongs to all of you, not just to the graduates. Keep being inspired by one another. Keep working together. I've been surprised by the impact my kids have had on my life, and the lesson has been to never stop working as a team. So my years post-Princeton have been exceedingly abundantly above all that I could ask or think. As I reflect back, the old proverb rings true. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. My parents and brothers and I continue to work hard together. My husband, my kids, and I are working hard together. And we've come so far, farther than I ever imagined. As FLI students, you are all pioneers. And again, that means uncharted territory ahead of you. Surprises await you, just like they awaited me. And tomorrow you will have commencement. Commencement, the beginning, the start. You are just getting started. And what you've done at Princeton is learn how to learn. You've established a strong foundation to build on. You now have much of what you need to get the most out of all the surprises and lessons ahead of you. So don't fight the uncertainty of what's ahead. There is no way you can anticipate what awaits you. Instead, fight to get everything you can out of everything you'll face. Fight to get everything you can out of everything you'll face. And don't go alone. Keep going together. I'm so happy and excited for all of you. Cheers to the Princeton FLI class of 2019. Let's freaking go, Tigers. Congratulations.
It is now my pleasure to welcome into the lecturn Stefan Amakwandon, class of 2019, who was previously the president of Princeton's Order of Black Male Excellence and is a key figure on campus amongst the student population. So, you guys, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stefan Amakwandon, an international from the UK and an undergraduate in the English department. When I was asked by Dean Dunn to give this speech, I was both surprised and humbled. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to share in my reflections and hopefully leave you with something to think about. As I look back and reflect on my time at Princeton, I think of it in terms of the things that impassion me the most. My faith, friendships, track and field, mentorships, and involvement with the Order of Black Male Excellence. And these were endeavors that I invested most of my time in. As a student athlete, for example, I spent about 15 to 20 hours per week around classes, being mindful of my diet and training, taking the necessary time I needed to rest. Similarly, I could only expect to grow myself in my faith and in my friendships by actively dedicating time towards it. One of my biggest takeaways from Princeton is intentionality. I believe intentionality should be the soul of everything that you do. In order for me to realize the intrinsic value of what I'm doing, it is required for me to move with intention. And if we as graduates did not intend to succeed, we would not have succeeded. None of us here graduated by accident. The first time I really began to think about intentionality was my sophomore fall. I found myself struggling with time management and striking a healthy work-life balance. My good friend and mentor, Ishil Tenkyong, told me that I was doing too much and that I needed to streamline. The process of streamlining my activities forced me to think about where and why I'm investing my energy. At a place like Princeton, it was very easy to find myself too busy. But what the process of streamlining taught me was that I needed to recognize the power of language and my own agency. Instead of throwing around the term, being busy, I began to think about using the term prioritizing my time and how making choices with this new language was going to define me, or was defining me. Whether you'll be going further into academia or going into the working world, I encourage you all to reflect on the notion of moving with intention, going into this next chapter. But in the here and now, I want to encourage you to think about the journey that brought you here. As FLI students, I think a common virtue that we share is humility. If we achieved anything at this university, it's because we had a path clear for us to walk through by generations of family, of friends, and of loved ones, despite the odds. I want to urge you to make a point of appreciating the people that got you to this very moment. And so there is one special person in this room who I would like to take this time to honor, and that is my mum. Mummy, you are a shining light and the apple of my eye, and I honestly don't know how I would have been able to get by without you and your strength. Even when our dad passed away, you were a rock, and you endured so much, and you worked tirelessly. Even though I know there were nights that you cried, and you cried, or you tried to cry in private, I understand the struggle that you're going through, or I couldn't actually begin to understand that. But I want to thank you for continuing to strive to do more for us, and for holding down family of three, and for not complaining about it at all. And I want to say thank you for instilling that strength, instilling those values in me. And I want you to know that I love you with all of my heart. And I appreciate you. To the FLI class of 2019, enjoy these very special moments because they come and then they go. Move forward with intention and take the time to appreciate the journey that we're on. Thank you.
I have the honor of introducing Dean Christina Gonzalez, who is responsible in part not only for this graduation, but for many of the initiatives that exist on campus that benefit first-generation and low-income students and the community that we thrive here. Dean Christina Gonzalez heads the FSI program, which a number of these students are a part of, which is a transitionary program for FLI students as they prepare to move to this campus. She also oversees the Mellon Mays program, which is for largely first-generation low-income students who wish to go into graduate school. So she takes care of us both before campus and also after campus. She really is there for the entirety of the way. Upon arrival at Princeton, she oversaw Princeton's writing center program, and she did that at Brown University as well, where she got a PhD in English, and she graduated from Dartmouth for undergrad. So thank you so much, Dean Gonzalez, for all that you do, and welcome to the lectern.
Families, friends, and I'm happy to say after today I can say my honorary classmates. from the great class of 2019. Can Butler College please stand and process to the front? Our first graduate is Halal Ahmed. Joseph Puryear III. Daniela Roxana Coronado. Jung Yoon Soon. GJ Saviano. Adalberto Rosado. Anna Bogdan. Will Forbes College please stand? Michael Aspar. Nayum Ferris Marayatni. David Lopera. Renee Rodriguez. Ryan Kristen Bourne. Rahi Patel. Eli Ramajo. Alicia Hahn. Alma Huselia. Maria Malik. Ian Lee. Melissa Ann DeCarrero. Debo Peyo Beeswax. James Chad. Amanda Emily Hay. Taya Weimer. Will Maddie College please stand? Nicole Ozdowski. Yuanyuan Zhao. George Nabil George. Jonelle Ashley Priya Ganatra. Andrew Go. Megan Chung. Frishta Abdul Wali. Isaiah Lee Nieves. Sebastian Ortiz. Chege Yatao. Victoria Gasparowicz. David Melvin. Brendan Wang. Belinda Danielle Hiram Azamati. Stephen PJ Amakwanda. Nathan Sam Nia Fan. Hector Solis. Will Rocky College please stand? Maliko Wheeler. Fernando Fernandez. Shani Williams. Andra Lee Turner. Fernando Hippolito. Anand Timon. Lisa Sheridan. Will Whitman College please stand? Ana Patricia Esqueda. Taisha Griffith. Olivia Danae Parker. Carrie Alicia Davidson. Joshua Becker. Tyler Maria Johnson. And last but certainly not least, will Wilson College please stand? Christina Sue. Ewa Shea. Will all of our FLI graduates please rise? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you today's So I get a bonus person now, because he didn't give me his pronunciation part. But I also want to welcome for a school Chris Mansour to the stage. Let's give them one more round of applause. I'd like to welcome Kiki Gilbert back to the stage.
I would like to welcome Christopher Manzer back to the stage.
All right. Good evening. Before I get started, I just want to say, FLI class of 2019, you look great. Don't they look great, everyone? I trust that as one of the final commencement activities for the grade class of 2019 comes to a close, not one of you has yet gotten tired of Princeton's perfectly short, concise, to the point, and not at all extravagant graduation festivities. I'm kidding, of course, because when I told my mom that commencement at Princeton is 3 days long, she was floored. For those of you who may not be familiar, my name is Christopher Umanzor, and I was recently elected to serve as alumni class president to the class of 2019, and that is the capacity in which I'm here. So, in that capacity, I look forward to staying in touch with many, if not all of you, once we leave the orange bubble. And tonight, I feel particularly grateful for the opportunity to provide some closing remarks at this, the FLI Graduation Ceremony, one of the events nearest to my heart, for it is never lost on me how my life has been impacted by the exigencies of my identity as a low-income student. And although we sit here in the same room, our experiences may be anything but. Notwithstanding, I'd like to share a bit about my background and how it has inspired me to promote advocacy for the FLI community at Princeton as a priority for our alumni class government. It's going to be great. So without question, I can remember many moments where financial uncertainty and instability deeply influenced how I traversed the world. Growing up, for example, my parents, to whom I'm deeply indebted for their commitment to providing for our family, would frequently work late, leaving my sister and I to wait at the local library for hours after the school day ended, because our neighborhood was simply too dangerous for children to walk home by themselves. And on days where the library closed early, we patiently waited outside. You can picture that, and I remember it well. In middle and high school, I became much more aware of our precarious circumstances as my family weathered bouts of unemployment and debt amid a tumultuous economy. And in response, I hesitated to ask for any potential discretionary expenses. I think that's an experience that is well received here. Instead, at 14, this is true, I landed an initially enviable job, scooping ice most days and being a mascot on Wednesdays, where I didn't even make minimum wage, and I wasn't allowed to keep my tips. But I thought it was great because I was working and I was helping to provide. So following that experience, I made it my singular goal to find a way to go to college and simultaneously minimize the burden on my parents. It was difficult, but like some of you might well reason, there were few alternatives. Throughout my life, however, I've been tremendously fortunate to find individuals willing to help me overcome obstacles, many of whom are in this audience. Social workers helped my family navigate the registration for programs like Head Start. Librarians at that local library encouraged me to read, write, and pursue leadership opportunities. And my high school teachers pushed me to apply for the Gates Millennium Scholarship. There are a couple others out here too. An honor I was fortunate to receive. And when I think about these people and their contributions, the inclination to return the favor and give back to my community feels the strongest. Yet, to be candid, Princeton can be exhausting, and that exhaustion can take so many forms and manifest from a multitude of different sources. For this reason, I always hesitate to describe continued involvement with the university as a responsibility rather than an intimately personal choice. And I respect those who ultimately decline to do so for their own reasons. Still, I cannot help but wonder what extraordinary impact we might well have on the next cohort of students who understand our struggles all too well, who understand where we come from. For there is a unique intelligence we possess, a knowledge derivative from our own experience as FLI students that might prove invaluable to their aid. And ultimately, it was this careful weighing that made my decision to run for alumni class president an easy one. Sometimes it can feel as though financial contributions are the most direct way that we can give back to this university, but there are so many exciting opportunities for us to stay involved, particularly with FLI students. We can serve as interviewers to generate a more comfortable experience for prospective students, serve as alumni mentors, or create opportunities designed to cater to our community. We can meaningfully and thoughtfully lend a hand to our successors if we so choose, if only because we wish that we might have had that kind of assistance when we were in that position. I believe truly that there are many individuals, good people at this university, who care about the experience of FLI students. We inducted one of them into our class today, and who are always looking for collaborators. And as the proportion of underprivileged students continues to grow class by class, and it will grow more class by class, I know that they will need our help. In closing, thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to close out this evening, especially when I know you've had enough of me for a day. But I would like to end with a quote from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, an outstanding woman who might very well have sat in this room many years ago and whose future successor might very well be sitting here now. In her book, My Beloved World, Justice Sotomayor says, when a young person, even a gifted one, grows up without proximate living examples of what she may aspire to become, whether lawyer, scientist, artist, or leader in any realm, her goal remains abstract. Such models as appear in books or on the news, however, inspiring or revered, are ultimately too remote to be real, let alone influential. But a role model in the flesh provides more than an inspiration. His or her very experience is confirmation of possibilities one may have every reason to doubt, saying, yes, someone like me can do this. I respectfully invite you, the FLI class of 2019, to be that role model, if you are so able and if you are so willing, so that the vision of a more equitable and integrated Princeton becomes reality. Thank you all very much. And congratulations.
To close off the closing, we have a dessert reception that will be happening outside the McCosh courtyard. So as soon as you go down the stairs and you turn to the right, there will be a tent and food where people can come together and take pictures and just reflect on how amazing of a class we had in the 2018 class. So one round of applause for our graduates. And thank you all so much for joining us.